dragons keep their gold. A rebel with a roaring heart, too wild to be controlled. Hold your breath, the ocean shakes. I'm the storm they couldn't tame. A staff of heaven in my hands and a legend to my name. Shine, shine, burning bright. Tear the chains that bind the night.
Hey kids, if you love stories about the awesome Monkey King, you have got to subscribe to our channel. Seriously, you don't want to miss any of his adventures. Okay, so let's dive in. Our story today kicks off back on the incredible Flower Fruit Mountain.
So, after Sun Wukong became the king of all monkeys, life was pretty great. But, it didn't take long for him to spot a pretty big problem. His monkey army? Well, their only weapons were flimsy bamboo sticks and little wooden knives. He thought, this is not going to work at all. He knew right then he had to find them some real, actual weapons.
So what does he do? He uses his amazing magic, hops on his special cloud, and flies over to the Owleye Kingdom nearby. He takes a giant breath and then, whoosh! He blows this incredible, powerful wind that scares everybody and sends them all running for cover.
And then he does something even cooler. He plucks a few hairs from his own body, chews them up, spits them out, and yells, "Change." And just like that, bam, the hairs turn into thousands of tiny little monkeys. This little army of his swarms right into the royal armory and carries out every single sword, spear, and shield, bringing them all back to Flower Fruit Mountain. You can imagine all his monkeys were going wild, cheering for their new weapons. But while they were thrilled, the Monkey King had a whole new problem. He tried a sword, then he tried a spear, but nothing felt right. For a great immortal like him, they were all just so clumsy and way too light.
Right then, a wise old monkey comes up with an idea. He tells the king, you know that iron bridge with the waterfall? Well, the path underneath it leads straight to the palace of the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea. I mean, surely a Dragon King would have a divine weapon, right? Something perfect for an immortal.
Sun Wukong thought that was a brilliant plan, so he used a quick magic spell so he could breathe underwater, gave a big grin, and with a huge plop, he dove right in. He just parted the waves with his magic and marched straight on down the seafloor toward the Dragon King's amazing Crystal Palace.
Now, the Dragon King was pretty surprised to have a visitor, but he tried to be polite. First, he offered Sun Wukong a giant sword. Too clumsy, said the Monkey King. So then, he offered a huge 9-pronged fork. Sun Wukong just kind of waved it away, looking totally bored.
Finally, the Dragon King brings out his heaviest weapon, a mighty spear that weighs 7,200 jin. That's heavier than 2 cars put together. But for Sun Wukong, it felt as light as a feather. The Dragon King was starting to get really nervous. He had absolutely nothing left to offer. Just when the Dragon King was totally out of ideas, the Dragon Queen appeared, and she had a thought. She remembered a mysterious and incredibly powerful treasure they had stored away deep in their vault, something that hadn't been touched for centuries. So they led Sun Wukong way down into the sea treasury. And there, right in the middle of the room, he saw it. A huge iron pillar, so tall it touched the ceiling, and it was glowing with this beautiful, magical light. Sun Wukong got a little closer and saw words carved into it. It said, "As you will, golden banded cudgel, weight 13,500 jin." Wow, that's almost twice as heavy as the spear. This incredible treasure, it seems, was just waiting for its true master to finally come and find it.
The second Sun Wukong touched it, he just knew it was the one. He whispered, "A little smaller, please," and the giant pillar magically shrank. It could grow as tall as the sky or shrink down to the size of a tiny needle that he could just tuck right inside his ear. It was absolutely perfect. So now that he had the perfect weapon, Sun Wukong decided he needed an outfit to match. He basically declared, a great weapon needs great armor. The poor, terrified Dragon King had no choice. He had to call his brothers, the Dragon Kings of the other seas, and together they gave him a whole set of treasures: gleaming golden armor, a fiery phoenix feather cap, and even magical cloud-walking boots. Back on Flower Fruit Mountain, the monkeys threw this huge party to celebrate their king's new gear. After all the fun, Sun Wukong fell fast asleep under a pine tree, but his day's adventures were definitely not over yet. As he slept, he started having this very strange dream. In it, 2 shadowy messengers from the underworld showed up. They tied a rope around his soul and told him that his time on Earth was over and that he had to go with them.
They dragged his sleepy soul all the way to this giant spooky city. And right above the gate, he could read the words, "The Netherworld." Yep, this was the land of the dead, the place ruled by the 10 kings of hell. But Sun Wukong was furious. He shouted, "I have jumped out of the 3 realms and am not among the 5 elements." Now that was his special way of saying he was an immortal who had learned the secret to living forever. He wasn't supposed to die. "You've made a huge mistake," he yelled at them.
Now he was really angry. He just reached into his ear, pulled out his golden cudgel, and with one swing he smashed the soul catchers into little bits. Then he stormed right into the palace of the 10 kings to demand an explanation.
He demanded to see the Book of Life and Death, the giant book that lists when every living thing is supposed to die. He found his name under soul number 1350, and then he grabbed a giant ink brush. With a big swoosh, he crossed out his own name, and then he crossed out the names of all the monkeys in the entire world.
And just like that, he suddenly woke up with a jump. He was right back under the pine tree on his mountain. The whole thing had been a dream. Or was it? Because by erasing their names from that book, he had actually made all the monkeys on Flower Fruit Mountain immortal, just like him.
So, let's recap. Sun Wukong now has an unbeatable weapon, a super cool suit of armor, and he's won eternal life for himself and all of his monkeys. Sounds like he got everything he wanted, right? Well, yes, but in causing all that trouble, he had also made some very, very powerful enemies.
The Dragon King was incredibly mad about losing his treasures, and the 10 kings of hell were furious that Sun Wukong had just scribbled all over their official book. So what did they do? They both flew straight up to heaven to complain about this naughty Monkey King to the ruler of all the heavens, the great Jade Emperor.
So, that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? What will the Jade Emperor, the most powerful ruler in the entire universe, do about this rebellious, troublemaking Monkey King? If you liked our story, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We also really look forward to your comments. Your encouragement is what keeps us telling these stories. We'll see you next time.